doesn't buy a book for 6 months, and then it's like the floodgates have opened. Hello and welcome to Pink Paradox Reads. I'm Lisa, aka Pink Paradox. I read books, I watch horror movies, and I unbox stuff that has to do with books and horror movies. In this video, I'll show you what I got in my summer vacation book haul. Let's get into it. So I usually do like a big book haul right before every summer vacation, just to make sure that I have lots of options for summer reading. Not that I need lots of options, I already have more than enough, but as you probably feel the same way, you can never have too many books, right? And buying books is one of my favorite things to do, unfortunately. But yeah, here we are. Let's get started with the top of the pile. This is A Goddess of Filth by V.Castro. I was surprised how tiny this book is. But you know, sometimes a little or a short book is just exactly what you need, especially if you are in a bit of a reading slump. Having a shorter book can really help you get out of that. The cover of this book is absolutely beautiful, and there is an actual spine on the spine. I love that. So this book is about 4 friends who hold a seance, and one of the friends seems to have become possessed by a sort of demonic entity in the process and starts acting not quite like herself anymore. I absolutely love possession stories, both in book form and in movies, so I think this one will be right up my alley. Another book with an absolutely beautiful cover, and one that I've heard a lot of great things about, is House of Hollow by Krystal Sutherland. This is a YA book, I believe, and it is about 3 sisters, the Hollow sisters, who disappeared when they were children and reappeared later, about a month later, with no memory of what had happened to them. And after that, odd, eerie occurrences follow in their wake. And then Gray, the eldest sister, goes missing again. So it's up to the 2 remaining sisters to figure out the mystery of what happened to Gray and what happened to them. I believe this is a bit of a supernatural tale. I don't know much of the plot other than what I just told you, and I am happy with that. I'm happy to be surprised by what the House of Hollow is all about. Then we have a not horror, not thriller, not supernatural in any way, but this is one of my all-time favorite books. Yes, don't at me. Bridget Jones' Diary. This is the 25th anniversary edition, and it has additional writing by Helen Fielding in it. It also has this magnificent gilded knickery cover. You probably know the story about Bridget Jones. You either love her or you hate her, depending. I absolutely love Bridget Jones, the character. This book and Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason, are 2 of my all-time favorite books, regardless of genre. And the more recent titles featuring Bridget Jones, I was not so fond of, mainly because it sort of differed from the originals. They became quite bleak, actually, in a way, while the original and the follow-up is so chock full of relatable humor, especially to a woman like myself. So yeah, I'm looking forward to revisiting Bridget Jones's Diary 25 years after. Then there's something for all the Stranger Things fans out there, of which there are many, and I am one of them. This will be my 2nd Stranger Things book. The first one, Darkness on the Edge of Town, was not great in my opinion, but I do have high hopes for this one. This is a YA tale about Robin from season 3, probably my all-time favorite Stranger Things character. She was played by Hawke in the series, and Hawke is a person I am very fond of. Not only is she a great actress, but she's also a fantastic singer, musician. I will link one of her music videos in the video description if you've never heard her music. She is fantastic. I've been listening to a companion podcast to A Rebel Robin. This is a sort of a precursor to season 3. We meet Robin and find out more what she's about. And maybe I'm not supposed to listen to the podcast on its own. Maybe I'm supposed to be listening to it whilst I'm reading this book. I don't know, but I started anyway. The podcast also stars my Hawke. These earrings are super heavy, so I'm going to take them out. Next up is The Fisherman by John Langan, and this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time. It was the July pick for the Shades of Orange book club. I've kind of missed the boat on that, but I still, I'm very glad that I picked this up because, like I said, it's something that I've been meaning to read for a long time. I have never read anything by John Langan before, apart from some short stories that have been in anthologies. This is supposed to be a sort of a weird fiction cosmic horror, I think. It is meant to be quite heavy in terms of subject matter. I think there is a lot of death and grief that comes with death. Does sound like it could be a tough read at times, but I've also heard that it has a stunning finale. So yep, looking forward to reading this and maybe taking it out on the boat with me when I go on vacation. Another YA book, as you might have heard before if you've been to my channel before, YA is pretty much hit and miss with me, but I have high hopes for all the titles that I'm talking about today. The Mary Shelley Club by Goldy Moldavsky is about Rachel, who is a new kid at Manchester Prep. So this is a private school, and there is a secret society called the Mary Shelley Club that orchestrate elaborate pranks known as fear tests, which are inspired by urban legends and movie tropes. She gets caught up in this Mary Shelley club, and I'm gonna guess that things go wrong from there. A graphic novel now, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Something Wicked. This is volume 2 of a new mini-series. I have read the first volume in this series and I absolutely loved it. The art is super, super cute, very colorful, and very cool. I love Sabrina. I absolutely loved the Chilling Adventures series. I don't think that's ever going to come back, unfortunately. Definitely would have loved to see more of that series, but I am very happy that I have this Sabrina to read for now. The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dalila Harris is one of the hot picks for the summer. This has had a lot of great reviews and a lot of talk in the book press. I've seen people call this a sort of a The Devil Meets Prada meets Get Out. This is about Nella Rogers, who is tired of being the only Black employee at Wagner Books when a other Black girl starts working there, Hazel, and they hit it off and they're starting to become friends. Though when a string of uncomfortable events causes Nella to become public enemy number 1 and Hazel the office darling. And then the notes begin to appear on Nella's desk. They say, "Leave Wagner now." Nella finds it very hard to believe that Hazel is behind these hostile messages, But as she starts to spiral and obsess over the sinister forces at play, she soon realizes that a lot more than her career is at stake here. This sounds like a very thrilling read. It's quite different from a lot of things that I usually read, so this will be very interesting. I'm not going to say too much about The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary since it's not really the type of genre that I normally talk about on this channel, but I wanted to include it here anyway. I read my first Beth O'Leary book last summer. That was The Flat Share. I absolutely loved it. I recently finished The Switch, which was also really good. And The Road Trip is this summer's new one from Beth O'Leary. Her writing reminds me a lot of Jenny Colgan's in that it's sort of contemporary romantic fiction, but it has a lot of other things in the mix. It's a lot of deeper meanings, messages. It goes beyond just being like a romance novel, and I really like that. Her writing is also really funny, which I absolutely appreciate. Another suspense horror adjacent book that I've heard lots of great things about is The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. She is a Swedish writer, and this is translated by Alexander Fleming. This one is being called a mix of the Blair Witch Project meets Midsommar. That sounds quite thrilling. This is about documentary filmmaker Alice Lindstedt. She has been obsessed with the vanishing residents of an old mining town dubbed the Lost Village since she was a little girl. In 1959, her grandmother's entire family disappeared in the mysterious tragedy, and ever since the unanswered questions surrounding the only two people who were left, a woman stoned to death in the town center and an abandoned newborn, have plagued her. She's gathered a small crew of friends in the remote village to make a film about what really happened. But there will be no turning back. Not long after they set up camp, strange things begin to happen. Equipment is destroyed, people go missing. As doubt breeds fear and their very minds begin to crack, one thing becomes startlingly clear to Alice. They are not alone. They're looking for the truth, but what if it finds them first? Come find out. That does sound really good. One of my most anticipated reads of the summer is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is one of those authors that I will automatically buy whatever book he's coming out with. He has become like a summertime read for me. I've read all his books as they've come out during summer. I was reading Lock Every Door while we were visiting Kay's family in Voss, and it was just such a perfect reading experience. I read it in my hammock next to a lake while I had like a cold drink in my hand. It was everything about that reading experience was absolutely perfect. So of course I wanted to replicate it last year when Home Before Dark came out. It rained the entire week we were in Voss. No hammock, but I could sit in the living room and enjoy Home Before Dark with my cold drink still, but it wasn't quite the same. I am optimistic again for some reason that I will have that dream experience with Survive the Night in my hammock by the lake. We'll see. When I read the premise for Survive the Night, it reminded me a lot of the movie Wind Chill starring Emily Blunt. This is set in 1991, and we meet a girl named Charlie who needs a ride back from college. She meets Josh from a message board for ride shares. They both have good reasons for wanting to get away. For Charlie, it is guilt and grief over the shocking murder of her best friend, who became the third victim of a man known as the campus killer. For Josh, it's to help care for his sick father, or so he says. The longer she sits in the passenger seat, the more Charlie notices there's something suspicious about Josh, from the holes in his story about his father to how he doesn't want her to see inside the trunk. As they travel an empty, twisty highway in the dead of night, an increasingly anxious Charlie begins to think she's sharing a car with the campus killer. Is Josh truly dangerous? Or is Charlie's jittery mistrust merely a figment of her movie-fueled imagination? One thing is certain, Charlie has nowhere to run and no way to call for help. Trapped in a terrifying game of cat and mouse played out on pitch-black roads and in neon-lit parking lots, Charlie knows the only way to win is to survive the night. This sounds really good. Crossing fingers for good weather. And then probably the most anticipated release of the year for me, The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, who is my favorite contemporary horror author. This is the Waterstones edition, which has sprayed edges and is signed by Grady. In horror movies, the final girl is the one who's left standing when the credits roll. The one who fought back, defeated the killer, and avenged her friends. The one who emerges bloodied but victorious. But after the sirens fade and the audience moves on, what happens to her? Lynette Tarkington survived a massacre 22 years ago, and it has defined every day of her life since. And she's not alone. For more than a decade, she's been meeting with 5 other final girls and their therapist in a support group for those who survived the unthinkable, putting their lives back together piece by piece. That is until one of the women misses a meeting and Lynette's worst fears are realized. Someone knows about the group and is determined to take their lives apart again, piece by piece. But the thing about these final girls is that they have each other now. And no matter how bad the odds, how dark the night, how sharp the knife, they will never, ever give up. By the time this video is released, I've probably already read this book because I am so looking forward to it. I do tend to sort of push books that I'm looking forward to reading a bit forward. I'm looking for the perfect time, but like I said with my Riley Sager hammock story, sometimes the perfect time just doesn't come, so sometimes you just have to sit down and start reading the book, damn it. Here we have a late addition to the haul. This book came in after I filmed the rest of the video. The Comfort Book by Matt Haig. This is a Waterstone signed and exclusive edition, and it is absolutely beautiful. This is a book of little writings, reflections on hope, survival, and the messy miracle of being alive. I absolutely loved Matt Haig's other books, Reasons to Stay Alive and Notes on a Nervous Planet. They were the kind of book that just came to me at the right time, you could say. The right books at the right times. I have never read any of Matt Haig's fiction for adults. I have read some of his children's fiction, and it's really beautiful, especially A Boy Called Christmas. So yeah, you can see it's little writings on hope, little writings to give you comfort. I think I will love this book just as much as I loved Notes on a Nervous Planet and Reasons to Stay Alive. That was everything I got in my summer vacation book haul. I would love to hear what you are reading this summer. Are you traveling anywhere on vacation, or have you already been on vacation? Kay and I are going up north to visit my family, and we are of course going to Voss to visit his family this year. That's pretty much our travel plans. I am still yearning to go to the UK, but that probably won't be until next year at least. But I have tons of great, interesting, exciting looking books to read on my vacation. So, you know, it's going to be great no matter what. That's it for this video. If you enjoy bookish videos like this one, unboxings and horror movie talk, please stick around and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great summer, and I hope to see you again next time.